What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. I want to say happy Sunday to everybody. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. I was sitting around hanging out with my wife tonight, and I saw this interesting article about a woman who spent a year only dating millionaires. She said she wanted to date up and see what that was like. And she had a really interesting story. And I thought I would share it with you, as well as some financial lessons that kind of come out of this, because love and money kind of link together in really interesting ways. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day under one condition. The condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means that we are Black men who love Black women. Black first means that we want our families to be intelligent, not ignorant. Black first means that we break generational curses. We do not continue them. If you agree with this philosophy, put a B1 in the chat. Everybody put a B1 in the chat. Also, let me know what city you're from. Tell me what city you're from. I see MG Steele out of Savannah and Jameer Moore out of Philadelphia. Good to see you. Let's see. I see S. Ford Anthony. It's hard to read names on Instagram, but I know S. Ford is out of Michigan. Michigan, I just watched Michigan football the other day. They got a really good football team this year. So anyway, how's everybody doing today? Y'all got to forgive me. I just finished eating. So if I kind of pick my teeth or something, just chalk it up to the fact that I'm half ignorant myself. Anyway, what's going on, Micah and Tahira and Romana and Tommy? Okay, so let me hop in and share with you why I decided to do a quick little podcast. It won't take long, and at the end, I'll actually give you a stock that I decided I want to buy tomorrow. If you're looking to beef up your portfolio and take advantage of all the great opportunities that exist with this stock market. The stock market has been going down, 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 down. It could keep going down for the rest of the week because you got the consumer price index numbers coming out this week. You got the producer price index numbers coming out this week. You also have the consumer sentiment index numbers coming out this week. If those numbers are bad, you're going to get more rain in the stock market. So just be kind of ready for that. It's going to be an interesting week. But anyway, let me ask y'all a quick question. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Give me a yes or no. What if you met a woman who said, I only want to date men who make, six figures? Would you say that that woman was a gold digger? What if she just said, look, I want a nice guy. I want a decent man. I want a man to treat me well. I want him to be good looking, but I also want him to be a good father and everything else. But he's got to make six figures. Like if he's making, 80,000 a year, that's not good enough. I would expect him to make 150. Yes or no? Do you think that makes her a gold digger or not? Okay, I see no, yes, no. Yes, sir, says Franklin. Okay. Hey, Bernice, how are you? Give me a yes or no. Everybody answer because I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Okay, I'm seeing yeses and nos across the board. That's really interesting because it looks like it's like a mixed bag kind of thing. Because money is such an interesting topic. I wrote my dissertation on the psychology of money, and I've always been fascinated with how money shapes our thinking, and how our thinking shapes our money. All those two things are connected, and in fact, if you haven't had a chance to join some of our financial therapy sessions that we're doing in the Black Business School, I hope you'll join because my wife is a licensed therapist and she and I are actually both getting certified on financial therapy. She's also a certified trauma professional, and she's blowing my mind with how your trauma, the trauma you experience as a Black person, is shaping your economic choices. It's shaping your relationship choices. It's shaping your health choices. Is shaping all kinds of choices. She's in there lecturing them right now. She's literally in there talking to them right now in the other office. Which she and I have our offices next to each other. And I really encourage you. You got to get inside your own mindset to understand what happened to you, to understand how you see the world. When you have these assumptions about things like money and how you view relationships, and relationships and money are deeply connected, you got to ask yourself, where did I get that from? Who taught me that? Right. So ultimately, here's what's interesting. Okay, first off, I'm going to start here by saying, I'm not here to judge anybody based on your preference. If you want to date a person that's wealthy, I think that's your right. It's every bit your right. It's every bit as much your right to want a wealthy partner as it is a man's right to say, I want a woman with a nice booty. Let's get ghetto right now for a minute. My wife, the first thing I noticed when I met my wife was how beautiful she was, how friendly she was, and that beautiful smile. And then I saw the rest of her, and Lord Jesus, I was in love. I could hear the violins playing in the background. It was really like a movie. Everything started moving in slow motion and jiggling in slow motion. And that was when I said, okay, wow, this is she might be a keeper. And so the reality is that we all want what we want. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting what you want. I think that you got to love yourself enough to give yourself the right to love what you want to love, as long as you ain't loving nothing weird, like a little kid or an animal or something. And I'm sure somebody's going to try to legalize all that at some point, because y'all know the agenda is real. I believe the agenda is very real. But anyway, as long as it's not going to hurt nobody, I think you have a right to want what you want. And here's what I found. Years ago, back in 2006, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking. And the book's actually on Instagram. But if you want a free copy, actually, if you go to me and my wife's website, boyceandalicia.com, you can actually have the e-copy for free. It's totally free. When I wrote this book, I'll put the URL on the screen. When I wrote this book, one of the things that I found that I was really fascinated by in my research was I found that women generally, not all women, but there are a lot of women who generally want security. They like security and they like stability. Ladies, give me a yes or no in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, if you agree with me. I find that women, you can't get away from that. I think that when you create, I've noticed that, don't get me wrong, we all like security, we all like stability. But as a man, I was always raised to feel like it was my job to provide security for someone else, to provide stability for others. Right? I wasn't looking for others to provide security and stability for me, although there's also a two-way relationship with that, right? But when women experience, not all women, I don't want to generalize or stereotype. So if I sound ignorant at some point, just chalk it up to the fact that I didn't say it right. But what I'm really trying to say is that I noticed that there's something that happens when women feel like the situation ain't quite stable. Like even little things like I remember being so shocked back in my dating age, my dating days. I remember being really shocked when I heard a woman say, "I can't even have sex in a messy room. I can't even sleep. I can't even get in the mood if the room is messy." And I was like, "What does having a messy room have to do with what we doing in the bedroom? That don't even make no sense to me." And as I get older, I connect that to just stability. Things were just out of order. And she's like, I need order in order for me to feel comfortable enough to do whatever we're going to do next. If not, I'm going to be obsessed with the fact that your drawers are still on the floor and that milkshake cup has been sitting on the counter for 3 hours, right? And it's very weird and it's very interesting. And I've noticed this, right? And so ultimately what I noticed, to translate that back to the financials, is that when there is financial instability, it just seems to make a lot of women very uncomfortable. So what I've concluded is that a man heightens his attractiveness level when he is able to bring some degree of stability to the household. I don't think you have to be rich necessarily to do that, but having money does kind of help, right? When money problems are not there, when things are not shaky, things just become easier for the whole family, right? Now, I'm going to read this article to you that I read today in Business Insider about a woman who spent a year dating up. She called it dating up financially. She said, you know what? She said, I'm tired of dating broke guys. I'm tired of paying to get his car fixed. I'm tired of hearing financial excuses. I'm tired of getting to the restaurant and having him go to the bathroom when the bill gets here. I'm going to date guys where money is not an issue and see what that's like. And I thought that was really an interesting experiment, because I think everybody has the right to want what they want. I know guys get mad. I see the manosphere. It's got a lot of men that say, oh, these women, they just gold digging, da, da, da. And I get that. But the reality, bro, is that if the woman that you're trying to date wants you to have more money, then that's okay. You can find a woman who is okay with your income level. I think that there are women where money doesn't matter to them at all. Like my wife happens to be in that category. My wife is in a category where you can have $1 trillion. She would get hit on by these NFL and NBA players back when she was younger. She did not care how much money those guys had. If you were a bad person, she didn't want to be around you. So just find a different woman. So don't get mad because of what women want. Just find a woman who wants what you got, because you got something valuable. And if you don't, you can develop that, right? So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And like I said, you can get that book, Financial Lovemaking. You can go to our website, boyceandalicia.com. I do stuff with my wife on love and money. She would probably want to be here in this conversation, but she's teaching right now, so I couldn't bring her in. But I just wanted to talk to you guys about this article, because I just thought there were so many interesting gems of knowledge in this piece, in this woman's experience. So basically, the title of the article, give me a yes if you can still hear me. Let me know if you can still hear me. Okay, I'm switching screens. The title of the article, which is an Insider, it's on insider.com. She said, I used a dating app to meet millionaires. I got to travel the world, get fancy gifts, and learned a lot from my relationship. So I think the lady is about 38, 39 years old. So she's in that. She's past that. You remember when Kevin Samuels, rest his soul, said women over 35 are leftovers and nobody wants you. I just don't agree with that. I know guys that won't date a woman under 35, right? So I think everybody has value in the place that they choose to have value. But she's about 38 years old. And what the woman said is that she said that she was tired of dating men who took advantage of her generosity. She said, I spent the last year reevaluating my life. The most important thing I had to change was the type of guys I dated. Many of them were emotionally immature and financially irresponsible. I bailed them out. One guy wanted money because he couldn't make rent. He couldn't afford it because he spent his whole salary on weed. That's financial instability, financial immaturity. Guys, ladies, anybody, if you're doing stupid stuff like that, then don't be surprised if someone doesn't want to be with you. This idea that someone's going to be loyal to you despite whatever crazy, stupid thing that you do is just silly. It's a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. So don't ever believe that somebody's just going to love you and stick by you when you're constantly ruining their life. Like, who wants to be around somebody who's constantly making their lives hard, especially when you got kids involved? Nobody wants their kids to be homeless and have no food because somebody spent the rent money on weed. Who wants to date that, right? So anyway, she said another guy left his rusty old car at my home for 3 weeks. He couldn't afford the maintenance. It was leaking oil. He used my AAA insurance to have it towed. She said, I wanted to meet better men. Now, in her mind, she obviously, I guess, defines better men as better financially. I would challenge that a little bit, because I want to sort of, if you talk about, say, the other side of this, you have to understand that there are a lot of wealthy men who use their money to manipulate women. There are also a lot of wealthy men who feel that their money is an excuse for them to do whatever they want to do, behave in any old kind of way, to be as disrespectful as they want to be. And I would say that everything that glitters ain't gold. That's another side of that. For anybody that's ever curious, like, I wonder what it'd be like to date rich guys. Well, let me tell you, I'm a rich guy. I've been a rich guy for a very long time. I was making over $100,000 a year when I was 30 years old, and I'm not 30 anymore. I'm 51, and I made 100 times more money than I did back then. And here's the reality: when you have money, women are all over the place. When you have money, there are tons of women everywhere you go. They constantly see you and say, oh, that's going to be my husband. That's going to be my husband. And you can't be everybody's husband. You can't be with everybody. My friend is a rap star, Willie D. You've seen him. He's come on his channel. And Willie D said that he would go to different cities and perform. And there'll be guys that are jealous and mad because their girlfriend was attracted to him. And he was like, I can't have sex with every woman in every city all across America. What makes you think I'm going to try to have sex with your girlfriend? Right. But people just think that way. Right. People get centered on somebody. And that, I think, is one of the interesting things. But the same thing can be true with a pretty girl. If you want the prettiest girl in the room, well, there's 20 other guys that may have noticed that same girl. So you're going to have some competition. Right. That's just what it is. So what I really kind of believe, too, is that if you pick somebody that is attractive in that way, it has to be somebody that has some level of humility and groundedness in who they are. Like, you ever see those girls that just know that they the finest thing out there? Like, they just know how beautiful they are. And because they know how beautiful they are, they use that as a way to pretty much force you to do whatever they want you to do. Or they use that as an excuse to behave in a spoiled, kind of pathetic fashion, where they don't want to work for the relationship. They don't want to do the things necessary to make you happy. They just want you to make them happy because they feel entitled. Or maybe again, I think daddies are good for giving young women self-esteem and giving young women confidence. But some of y'all women got, OD'd on confidence. Your daddy told you that your shit don't stink. You the best thing smoking, that you perfect in everything that you do, that can't nobody tell you nothing, and you can't never do no wrong. And nobody wants to deal with that. A man with options is not going to put up with that. So ultimately, I think that the same thing is true whether you're talking about a wealthy man who has a lot of money and feels entitled. The best men that I've known in terms of wealthy men, I know a lot of wealthy guys, and I know guys who feel entitled because of their wealth, which means that they're having sex with everything, they're doing whatever they want, and because they know they can just sort of move and dip and move and replace anything that leaves their life. Well, I think that, and then I know guys who are wealthy and successful, even very famous, who just said, okay, I picked my wife, I've settled on this person, I've settled on this family, this is what I'm focused on, this is what I'll humble myself to. So I really think that in addition to her sort of looking at these wealthier men, I think looking at the person's character is really important. Is that person willing to kind of humble themselves to you and to the situation? Or are you just dealing with somebody who just, kind of goes from person to person because they've got all this money and they can easily replace whoever comes in their life? So anyway, so here's what she says in the article. I'm gonna keep reading. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, please. She says, these experiences made me want to meet more stable men, someone mature who could make interesting conversation and approached relationships with a generous mindset, a man with a handle on life. I wanted to date up. A friend told me about a dating website called Seeking. It specializes in matching successful and attractive people. I joined in August. And so she pays $275 a month. She says, I want to meet men who share my interest in travel and exploring new things. I'm in the process of establishing my own business. I also thought it would be good to be among people who knew how to negotiate and reach targets. I hoped they'd advise or mentor me. Okay, so it sounds like she knows what she wants, and I don't think it's anybody's right to judge that. It's interesting because a lot of what she seems to want is focused on men that can give her not just an elevated economic status, but also guys that can mentor her and teach her things. And I've seen that before, and I think that that's fine. I wonder how balanced that is. I wonder if I read somewhere that if you leave one relationship, you shouldn't jump into another relationship right away, because in your new relationship, you're craving the things that your other relationship didn't have. So you're basing your new pick on what the old person didn't provide instead of actually basing it on what you actually want. So she says, I talked to a few guys on the site. Most were in their 50s. I met one who lived in my home city of San Francisco. The 50s makes sense. 50s is when men's hit their peak earning potential. He was super kind and intelligent. He brought his dog to the date, which I thought was sweet, but we didn't see each other again. Then in the fall, I dated an international businessman. He was 53 years old, about 14 years older than me. We've been on several dates. When I told him that I was going on a trip to France, it's one of my favorite countries. Do you want to visit me? I asked, somewhat jokingly. He said, absolutely. Would like to come and ask when I was leaving. I said I hadn't bought my tickets. Would you let me do that for you? He said, I would love to support you in your travel to France. It took my breath away. In my prior relationships, I had to be independent, save up my money, and plan every last detail of the trip. Here was someone who saw that I had a passion for France and wanted to support me in that passion. I thought about it for a bit. Then I said, okay, yes, thank you. He hovered over my shoulder when I booked the business class flights. He said, I don't want to remove the power, so I'll give you the credit card and we can do it together. The moment the price came up, he said, don't get sticker shock. I thought these tickets could pay off my car. Okay, well, I think that sounds pretty cool. What do y'all think? I mean, that sounds interesting. It sounds like a, upgrade in terms of an experience. But what was interesting, what really got my attention about that, though, was when she said that it took her breath away that he offered to pay for that trip to France. When he offered to buy the plane ticket, that took her breath away. And that to me pretty much means she's like, okay, I'm yours, right? And I think that's really interesting, because what that makes me think about, on one hand, it's like, okay, that's fine, that's life, that's just what it is, right? When you study all living things, like even when we study animals, you'll find that even if you look at giraffes, female giraffes are more attracted to male giraffes who have more territory. Did y'all know that? That if you are a landowning giraffe and you control a bigger territory, more women will come to want to mate with you. This is true for water buffaloes, polar bears, squirrels, whatever, right? So that attraction to men with resources is as old as human beings are. And you're not going to get away from that. I know we want to act like those things don't matter, but that's just not true. That's just not true. That's just not true. Don't let anybody lie to you. It's just not true. But the downside of that is I've seen scenarios where a wealthy man can manipulate women with his money. If a man is making $200,000 a month, it is nothing for him to buy you a $400 necklace. And he can buy a $400 necklace for 10 women. and cause 10 women's breath to leave their body, because they're so enamored with the fact that this guy bought them the $400 necklace. Now, the $400 chain might be valuable. It's good. It's nice. I'm sure it's pretty and stuff. Came in a Tiffany box or something, maybe. I don't know. But the thing is, you can't mistake that act for a true act of thoughtfulness and kindness toward you. If he's really thinking on an industrial level, meaning like how many women can I entertain at once, it ain't nothing for him to just hit the button and send you whatever you want to receive. It ain't nothing for him to send you $1,000 to pay your rent. It ain't it's nothing. It's like, okay, yeah, if that'll get me access to every piece of you, if that will give me access to the infinite value of your vagina, then sure, I'll pay $1,000 for that. In finance, we call that an arbitrage. All that is buy low, sell high. You're selling me something that is incredibly valuable. You're selling me your body for $1,000 a month. Okay, let's make that trade. Let's do a deal. Let's make it happen. And I would encourage you to think that through, because it's one thing if it's okay. Like if you're like, yeah, I'll sell this coochie for $1,000. That's fine. I think that's okay. But if you're really sort of interpreting that money as some sort of sign that he actually cares about you, I would encourage you to really reconsider the laws of supply and demand. It's easy to spend money when you're rich. That's how you can buy people's time. You can buy their love. You can buy their attention. You can buy you can buy damn near their whole life if you have enough money. That's why money is so powerful. Money is very, very powerful. But the thing is, if you're really looking at the currency of a wealthy man, I don't know about other people, and I don't like talking about any money that I make. But I'm not a poor person. If I were poor, it would be kind of weird, right? And my net worth was published on the internet somewhere or something, so I guess I can talk about it. The most valuable resource I have is really my time. It's my time. If I can write a check. I write checks to black people every month. I write dozens of checks to people to pay them for all kinds of stuff. But when you get my time, my wife gets a whole lot of my time. And that's where I'm really showing my love for her, because I can't make more time in my life. I can't make more time. I can buy other people's time, but I can't make more time. So if you're trying to go that route, and you're trying, let's say you're looking for true love. I don't know what people are looking for. Maybe they're just looking for some ass. I have no idea. I'm not judging. I don't care. But make sure you're getting what you are shopping for. That's something to consider. That's something to think about, because sometimes it's very easy for a poor person to be enamored by a rich person, like to really just feel like, oh my god, this wealthy person is spending money on me. And then if you went through something weird, like maybe your daddy was never around and didn't care about you, then you got to deal with your self-esteem issue. And it's just, all that, save all that for the therapist. Like, go see the therapist so you can work through that, because there are people that will take advantage of that. In fact, black women, I believe, honestly, are most vulnerable to this, because black women, first of all, you're human, so you're horny all the time. That's going to happen just because you're human, especially in your 30s. Black women in their 30s, or women in their 30s, period. People in their 30s, just their hormones are raging, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, maybe there's some loneliness that may set in. Third, there may be some abandonment issues that come from the fact that 76% of all black children grow up without a father in the home. That's huge. I mean, imagine if 76% of all black children grew up without a mother in the home. Like, imagine how many boys would have mommy issues if their mother. Imagine if your mama died when you were 6. Does anybody get what I'm saying? Like, imagine if your mama died when you were 6 and you spent your whole life craving and missing your mama, and then suddenly it would totally distort how you view relationships. The other reason a lot of black women are very vulnerable is because you have a lot of money. You have a lot of money. So what I see is, I see a lot of women that will attract men that they refer to. I heard somebody refer to them as hobosexuals. Hobosexuals, like just this weird distorted version of men that will literally date women just to get their money. Because you got this woman that's got this great job and this big gigantic house that she owns, and she wants some good sex. So you learn how to just give her some good sex to keep her happy, and then you get to live in the house and use her credit card and drive her Mercedes around and everything else. And then the second thing that can happen is a lot of these dating matchmaking companies take advantage of that. I knew somebody once who mentioned to me a matchmaking company that she had signed up for. She was, again, a black woman, about 48 years old, was a corporate executive, making about $300,000 a year, looking for a certain kind of man. Her daddy died when she was about 12 years old. So I believe it distorted her view of men in relationships. She was always looking for the perfect man, so she never found him because she was looking for something that didn't exist. Well, she went to sign up for this matchmaking service, and the matchmaker was charging her something like $3,000 a month to find her a man to date. So she would find her every month, she would find her some man that she could date that lived somewhere across the country or whatever. And after she told me the story, I heard about how many of these little so-called possible relationships failed. I said, "Oh, you're getting played." I said, "That lady's just taking your money. She's probably got the same guy dating multiple clients that she has. She's probably got a bunch of women that are all being sent to the same guy, and he's kind of being a little bit of a gigolo." I really got this feeling that she was just milking people for money, right? Desperate people are, will sometimes let go of their money to solve a problem, even if the person isn't providing an adequate solution. So when I read about this, and I read about this woman dating up, and what was interesting is she mentioned how the relationship went. She dated a guy for a little while. He had a lot of money. She really enjoyed it, and then it ended. I wonder if she really got what she wanted, right? And that's another reason why I would almost say that I think money is very important, and I think that people have a right to want what they want. I also think that financial stability is an important aspect of any relationship, but I would really be cautious about focusing too much on money. I've seen scenarios where I feel like people believe that because a man has money, that automatically makes him a good man. If him having money or having a certain kind of job automatically makes him a good catch, I think you want to reconsider your definition of what a good catch is. I think that your definition of a good catch should have at least 4 or 5 different categories to it, 4 or 5 different dimensions that go beyond just what he does for a living or how much money he makes. Just like for men, if you think that a woman being beautiful makes her a great partner for you, then that's not necessarily good critical thinking, because you're talking about your life. And there are lots of demons that come in and, with big booties and pretty dresses that will destroy your life and leave you broken down, like you feel like you're a 4-year-old child sitting up in divorce court, broke as hell, your whole life. I mean, divorce is traumatic. Like, having your children taken away from you is traumatic. You got a lot of traumatized men who, some of these men that run around angry on the internet, they're a lot of them are traumatized because they went through a scenario, had a baby with somebody, and now they can't see their kid and have been dragged through the mud and paying all this money in child support, and they're really horribly miserable, right? So at the end of the day, I think you got to think about these things. So long story short, I brought this story up because I think it's important to really process how money affects your relationships, how it affects what you're looking for, how it affects what you believe you're supposed to provide in a relationship. I think that any man who thinks that money doesn't matter at all in a relationship or should matter at all is probably somewhat naive. But also, I think at the same time, it's not always a matter of you having to have a ton of money. It's really a matter of, I think a lot of women want to see you at least doing something to try to improve your life and providing some form of stability that allows her to not go crazy watching you kind of ruin the situation for everybody, because she's got kids to protect, and women want to protect their kids. And if a man can't do that, I don't think that that makes him a very good man. And I don't think women are women like that at all. So anyway, let me that's all that I was thinking about today. And I don't ask me why I brought this up. I just brought it up because I thought it was an interesting topic. And it looks like the lady was happy when she went to date millionaires, but I don't necessarily know if that was the solution for her, because based on what I read in the article, it's not like she found the love of her life. She found some guys that were willing to fly her to Paris and have sex with her. And if that makes her happy, then that's cool. But if she's looking for more, then she's going to have to be a little more thoughtful in her approach. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Those are my thoughts. I'll come back a little bit later and talk to you guys maybe tomorrow or something like that. If you could hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Also, don't forget the All Black National Convention's coming up, and my wife is actually doing speed dating at the convention. Keisha Ravenel met her husband last year speed dating, so we were really excited about that. We're actually going to go to her wedding in New York, and so if you want to come to the convention and hang out with other like-minded Black people, it's a great place to be. So I put the tickets, virtual and physical, on my website, boycewatkins.com, and you can read the schedule at allblacknationalconvention.com. So God bless you guys. Have a good night. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Peace. Oh, and somebody reminded me. They said, "Oh, don't forget the stock pick." Thank you, thank you, thank you. The stock pick is Adobe. It's Adobe. So I'm sorry I forgot the stock. I told you guys I would give you the stock pick at the end. So there we go. So that's why I came back in to make sure I told you. So the stock pick is Adobe. Type it in the chat. Let me know that you saw that. And now we're gone for real. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Take care now. And thank you for reminding me. Peace.